Tracy, just remember to turn on your mic.
It's the same color every time I touch it. Is it on now?
It's on.
Thanks. And we're done now. All right. Welcome everyone to the July 2nd Board of Adjustments meeting. Tim, if you run, you could be part of the meeting. All right. Your start. The meeting is being recorded. Stand for the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation for all. April, will you call roll, please?
Absolutely. Chair Eggline.
Here.
Vice Chair Tholt. Here. Commissioner Shirtliff. Here. Ms. Beckwith.
Here.
Mr. Top.
Here.
We have all 5 members present.
All right. Kyle, would you, or are we doing meeting? What are we doing?
So if you would like to approve the minutes from the May meeting, you can. I did, as a note, I forgot to update that on the agenda from April to May.
Sure. I was absent, so I'm not going to vote, but I will let somebody else take the lead on that, please.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
The motion carries.
I know. I'm a little rusty. All right, Kyle, would you please show us what we're doing?
Good evening, board members. Tonight we have one variance application for your consideration. Variance review criteria. Pursuant to section 11-5-5C of City Code, to approve a requested variance for a new building or portion thereof, the Board of Adjustment shall consider the following standards. The variance will not create a significant risk to the public health, safety, or general welfare. The variance will not significantly reduce or impair the peaceful use of existing property, and strict compliance with the provisions of this title would create unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty. In reviewing those standards above, the Board of Adjustment may consider the following factors: special conditions and circumstances that are unique to the applicant's site, including size of the property, unusual or extreme topography and shape of the property, the height, location, or dimensions of existing structures located in the vicinity or on the site, whether there is a prevalence of nonconformities in the vicinity, the subsequent imposition of zoning restrictions creating nonconforming lots and parcels, whether a literal interpretation of the provisions of this title would deprive the property owner of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties similarly situated, the extent to which the hardship or difficulty results from the actions of the applicant, and whether granting the variance will confer an unreasonable special privilege to the subject property. Section 11-5-5F of City Code states the following: the Board of Adjustment may impose conditions to minimize adverse impacts that the variance may have on public health, safety, or welfare. Any approval that includes these conditions is subject to the terms of the conditions. These may include a period of time in which the proposed structure shall be completed and other conditions necessary to mitigate adverse effects. It is the recommendation of the City Attorney's Office that staff does not make a recommendation. Montana law states the Board of Adjustment has the authority to consider, upon appeal in specific cases, such variance from the terms of the ordinance as will not be contrary to the public interest, where, owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance will result in unnecessary hardship, and so that the spirit of the ordinance shall be observed and substantial justice done. That is Montana Code Annotated 76-323. On a motion to approve a variance, The following conditions are recommended this evening: that an amended plat be filed within 1 year. Item 1, 1105 State Street. Consideration of a variance from section 1142 to decrease the minimum side lot line setback from 8 feet to 5 feet for the side lot line setback on the eastern side of the existing dwelling for a property with the legal description of lots 5 and 6 in block 7 of the Chris Kenk addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. And a variance from section 1142 to decrease the minimum side lot line setback from 8 feet to 5 feet for the side lot line setback on the south side of the existing dwelling for a property with the legal description of lots 5 and 6 in block 7 of the Chris Kenk addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. A variance from section 1142 to decrease the minimum side lot line setback from 8 feet to 5 feet for the side lot line setback on the north side of the existing garage for a property with the legal description of lots 5 and 6 in block 7 of the Chris Kenk addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. And a variance from section 1142 to decrease the minimum side lot line setback from 8 feet to 5 feet for the side lot line setback on the west side of the existing garage for a property with the legal description of lots 5 and 6 in block 7 of the Chris Kenk addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. This variance is to reduce the side lot line setback between the existing structures in the proposed new lot line. Here is the zoning map showing it's R2 zoned. It is on the south side of State Street, generally located between South Dakota and Montana Avenue. The purpose of these variances, this variance will serve the following purposes: to reduce the side lot line setback between the existing structures and the proposed new lot line. The property owner would like to separate the underlying lots and construct a new dwelling on the east portion of the property. The existing garage will be used by the newly constructed dwelling, and the existing carport will be removed. Here is the proposed map. This is showing the entire block, just for reference. And then there is a detailed drawing here that shows the new proposed lot line in bold there in the middle. Here is the plat, just showing the existing lots. Here's the house as it sits now. You can see the carport there that will be removed. The garage is just behind that. Then here is the view looking at the garage and carport in the vacant portion of the lot where the new dwelling would be constructed. Typical area of the older portions of Helena. Along the alleys, most of the setbacks are very reduced, as we find throughout these. The picture on the lower right is showing the garage of this property from the alley. History of permitting action. August of 1929 is the earliest permit on file that I found for construction of the house. From 1940 to 1995, there were 7 permits on file for remodels, roofing, electrical, and such. City department comments. The first comment from building refers to the initial submitted site plan that was in your packet. The initial plan was hoping for 3-foot setbacks between the property line in the new boundary line in the existing properties. The building department did not like that due to fire separation, and that would require the existing structures to be brought up to fire rated construction. When they resubmitted with the plan that you saw earlier in this presentation, building department had no objections to that configuration. Fire department concurred with the building department's comments and noted that the fire hydrant there on State Street along State and Montana is under the minimum for flow. Public Works responded with no comment. Transportation responded with not applicable. As of today, 4 comments have been received, all of them against. You received one of them this evening, and the others you should have gotten last Friday in email. Generally, they were concerns about parking in the areas, just the character of the neighborhood and such. At this time, are there any questions for staff?
Would you go back to the plan? How much space is between the house and the property? So we have 5 feet from the house to the existing house to the lot line, and then
Yeah, so there's 8 feet between the property line and the house at the most northern portion there.
okay,
Where it bumps out, it decreases to 5 feet. And between the house and the garage at the angle is 5.2 feet approximately. And then 5 feet between the garage and the setback on the south end.
Mr. Holland, I have a question for staff. If it's a bit of a hypothetical question, but if the owner was to just run the property line down the old boundary where it was previously where the lot line is currently, and were to say demo the garage, would they still be by right allowed to do that and build the second home on the adjacent the lot 5A? It's kind of just wondering, like, is there anything keeping them from building that house besides whether or not we approve the variance or not?
The second house would, to answer the direct question, no. If the lot line was kept as is, and they removed the garage, there would be no zoning restriction on them doing that. There would also be no zoning restriction for them to build a second house on the property and keep it as one parcel.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
sure. Any further questions for Kyle?
I'm good. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it.
Thank you, board.
Love that.
So we do have the property owner on Zoom. So Karen,
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
yes, we can.
Okay.
Is there anything that you want to say about your proposal, about your application?
No, I guess unless there's any specific questions about it.
Miss Finley, I have a couple questions for you. The first one is in regards to, I'm just curious why the variances, there's a couple of variances for the setbacks that seem like that boundary line could be adjusted to allow for the 8 feet setback still. I think the one is on the west side of the garage and the other would be on the east side of the home, the existing home. And so I'm just curious about the decision to ask for the variances on those sides of the buildings when it appears like you could move that property line adjust it further and still allow for those conditions to meet those setbacks.
Well, if you look at the aerial view, the way that the driveway is, that would like bisect the driveway almost, which would make using the garage not usable. And so that's why we went with the smaller one, because the current house would not be utilizing that space for parking or the garage. And so that's why we went back with a little bit narrower setbacks.
Okay, and then on the west side of the garage, because that would be, you're referring to the east side of the home, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then the west side of the garage, so back behind the house?
I mean, that's just the yard. We just tried to keep that at minimum, so that there was more yard there with that home.
Okay. Thank you.
There any more questions for the applicant? Thank you, Karen.
Thanks.
Open it up for public comment.
So if you would like to make a public comment, you can either come forward to the podium if you are in the room, or if you are online, please raise your hand and you will be called on in order.
Have a lot of comment about this particular situation. I just think that in general for the city of Helena, it would be nicer to assist the landowners to make their property suitable for, continued use. I know some of these older properties, like you mentioned, the setbacks are quite small, the lots are quite small. It's not that big of an issue as far as I can see, except for, and I don't, with such a small house, mostly out of stone, I don't think the fire potential is so great as I just know that this is one of the main reasons for setbacks is with wooden structures, keep the fire to a minimum if something happens.
Thank you.
So far, we have no hands raised online.
Then I will open it up for board discussion.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to comment that I feel some of the public comments were in relation to the fire danger, as we just heard. The building code does address that. And also they've adjusted the lot line to be within those requirements. So if anybody else has any concerns with that, I'd just say that I don't have any concerns with that issue in particular. So any other comments on that?
I read this earlier.
Madam Secretary, it does seem like most of the public comment is focused on their personal enjoyment of the neighborhood and how this might impact it. However, as we learned, they are allowed to build this house. No matter if this variance is approved or not, they would just have to, as I understand it, keep it as one plot instead of separating it. So I guess I have no concerns with this proposal, having learned that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, the only other comment I would bring up is that I do feel like the 5-foot setback on the west side of the garage could be adjusted to 8 feet. And I don't know if we can approve the variances with the exception of that one potentially. But I would be in favor of consideration of of not approving that part of the variance specifically, because I do think, you know, moving a fence is really not that much of a hardship in my mind. Whereas moving a driveway and a building obviously is. So just, yeah, if anybody else would like to talk about that, we can open that up for discussion maybe.
Okay.
Chair Agline, I would just like to state towards Board Member Top's comment there, the 4 variances are 4 separate requests, so they can be voted on independently.
I can see the hardship. One of the 3 qualifying acts is also whether we're unjustly, if this is also neighboring properties have this same thing, and I believe they do in very many circumstances. So I think it meets the 3 criteria in my mind. I can definitely see Mr. Top's point about the fence though, and we could definitely, that one we could deny, and that would have to go to the 8 feet as required.
Chair Eggline, if you would want to entertain a comment from the applicant, she does have her hand raised, but that is at your
That would be-
discretion.
That would be fine. Yes.
Go ahead, Karen.
Sorry, on the 8-foot,
Sorry, hit the wrong button. Sorry about that, Karen. Go ahead. Go ahead, Karen.
sorry, I was unmuted and then not. My understanding was that the 5-foot or the 8-foot was just if there was a structure, but there wouldn't be any structure built along there. I mean, I'm not gonna argue that if it needs to be that, it just cuts into the yard and we would, that's why we left it at the 5-foot.
Kyle, do you want to address that?
The 8-foot setback is from the property line to any structure, so it doesn't matter that no new structure is going to be built on the other side of that. It's independent of it.
That move, if we're moving that, that moves that down to 24, right? 24.82 on that leg. Back down that.
You're barely gonna meet parking in 2022, if that's the thought process there, or that's off-street parking.
Hmm. No, that's a good point. It's 24. Be 2 spots. And if I was right, there's a couple one of the complaints was about parking in the neighborhood, wasn't it?
That was a very consistent comment throughout. Helena Housing Authority is directly across the street, and it's been commented that they use a substantial portion of the on-street parking.
Okay. In that case, I think I would be willing to let them have the 5 feet so that we're not reducing the parking anymore. Have some yard and still have some parking. Just due to the nature of the neighborhood.
I could get on board with that. I think that, the condition that we're talking about is more impactful to the existing garage, which is limited to this owner. So, yeah, I could get on board with that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay.
Kyle, can you bring it up? I'll make a motion. Are we gonna do separate motions here?
Ideally, we should do separate motions.
Yes.
Of course. I would make a motion to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum side lot setback from 8 feet to 5 feet for the side lot setback on the eastern side of the existing dwelling for the property with a legal description of lots 5 and 6 and block 7 of the Chris Connect addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana.
I second the motion.
Point of order here. Do you want to add that condition?
I would also make a condition that an amended plat must be filed within 1 year.
I re-second the revised motion.
Okay. Is there further board discussion? Okay. All in favor?
What?
Oh, what now?
Roll call vote?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can do a roll call. vote.
That's okay. Chair Eggline,
Yes.
Vice Chair Thulp,
Yay.
Commissioner Shirtliff.
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
motion passes unanimously.
I will make a motion to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum side lot line setback from 8 feet to 5 feet for the side lot line setback on the south side of the existing dwelling for the property with legal description of lots 5 and 6 and block 7 of the Chris Kennett addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, with the condition that an amended plat must be filed within 1 year.
I'll second the motion.
Any further board discussion? Seeing none, would you call? roll on that?
Chair Eggline,
Yes.
Vice Chair Thulp,
Aye.
Commissioner Shirtliff.
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
motion passes.
I'll make a motion to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum side lot line setback from 8 feet to 5 feet for the side lot line setback on the north side of the existing garage for property with a legal description of lots 5 and 6 and block 7 of the Chris Kank addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, with a condition that an amended plat must be filed within 1 year.
Second.
Chair Eggline,
Yes.
Vice Chair Thulp,
Aye.
Commissioner Shirtliff.
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to decrease the minimum side lot line setback from 8 feet to 5 feet for the side lot line setback on the west side of the existing garage for property with a legal description of lots 5 and 6 and block 7 of the Chris Kenk addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, with the additional condition that an amended plat must be filed within 1 year.
Second.
Chair Eggline,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shertliff,
Aye.
Ms. Beckwith,
Aye.
Mr. Top,
Aye.
motion passes.
Ask if there's any additional public comment.
So I don't see any hands raised online for any general public comment. For the record, there's none in the room.
Our next board meeting,
So that is scheduled for the first Tuesday in August. I don't know the exact date off the top of
Believe-
my
yeah.
head.
August 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do have an application in.
I'll be gone.
So then we'll have to push that back to September because Carissa has also told me that she will be unavailable. So with 4 to do business, we will meet again in September.
Okay. Alright. Somebody make comment to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.